Om Shri Sai Ram. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai. On behalf of the National Council of the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization of Sri Lanka, I take pleasure in warmly welcoming all of you to this weekend's Satsang. It's a beautiful Sunday evening, and we are all blessed to be connected despite the circumstances. Our ears yearning to hear the glory of our Sai, while our vision longs for a glimpse of that charming form, and our minds pining to consume the divine nectar. Today, we're very excited to have with us yet again a speaker whose beautiful experiences captured our hearts, and her charming narrations took us through to the world of our dearest Sai Krishna. She is none other than Sister Pallavi Vedantam. Sister Pallavi has been in Bhagavan's fold for 31 years as a SSC student, young adult, and Sevadal. She's an alumna of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur, where she completed her MS in Food and Nutritional Sciences and Bachelor's in Education. She also has a PhD. Currently, she works as a senior researcher at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center and conducts research in immuno-oncology. She currently resides in Region 1 of the USA. Without any further ado, I now take great pleasure in inviting Sister Pallavi to take over. I also kindly request the devotees to please share your questions with Brother Manoharan via the chat box while the satsang is on. Sister, over to you. Sairam.
I offer my most humble pranams at our beloved Bhagavan's lotus feet. Sairam, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure, very humbling and very grateful to everybody who has made this satsang possible. Thank you for the very loving introduction, sister. It's very sweet of you. They say that if you are a teacher, if some of you are a teacher, you will know this. And our beloved Bhagavan would do the same thing. If you don't pay attention in a particular class on a certain subject, the teacher comes back again to run the same class for the students who didn't pay attention for the first time. So I'm not sure if this is a great favorable blessing or a punishment for all of you that you have me for the second time. Either I didn't do my job properly the first time, or the students were not paying attention the first time. It has to be one of it. All jokes apart, I'm very grateful to be here. Having already shared my thoughts on Bhagavan, on what are his expectations in the Tamil Satsang, I will try and make sure that I don't overlap the segment as much. If I do, please bear with me, because I have no recollection of what I have said in honest confession. It's purely Swami who takes over at this point. So I pray to him that he speaks through me and shares whatever he feels best in this beautiful satsang, the time that we have together in the name of Sai. So the topic of this talk, when I was asked to pick, I picked the path to Sai. Now there are multiple paths, as all of you know, and as I know myself. The uniqueness of the spirituality that we are all trying to follow of Swami's message is that every path is unique to his own. I cannot claim that my path is unique and yours is not. It will be absolutely foolish of me to think that a spiritual aspirant who is living the Hinduistic Vedanta philosophy is not superior or equal to the same philosophy of abstract religion that is followed by a Muslim, or the regimented spiritual practices followed by a Christian, or a Buddhist or a Judaist. You get my point. Swami, as the Kali Yuga avatar, his message was very simple. His message was very sweet. And his message was very straightforward. I like to think of them as 3S. If you have the opportunity and the time, if you're really lucky that your mind and body have allowed you to listen to Swami's discourses, or to read Swami's discourses, or to listen to his glory, or to be a part of a Satsang, you must have gathered that over time, Swami was a very simple avatar, he was a sweet avatar, and he was a very strict avatar. Strict in the sense he was very simply straightforward in a sweet way. So that is the central theme of my satsang with all of you today. We all have an imagination about Bhagavan, that Bhagavan has to be in a certain way, and that is the Bhagavan we like. So we have a concept of an individual God, and we have a concept of a universal God. To make you understand and realize to this concept, or warm up to this thought, here's an analogy. When you're sitting at your altar and praying to your Bhagavan, or any God, you might be a traditional Hindu, a traditional Muslim, a traditional Christian, a traditional Buddhist. You might be belonging to any religion. And we all know Swami has said one thing very simply, is that he doesn't want anybody to convert to Saiism, if I can use that word in a very loose terms. He never said, follow my path. He never said, follow my message. He never said, belong to only my organization. But he always said, if you are a true Hindu, live like a true Hindu. If you're a devout Muslim, behave like a devout Muslim. If you are a very Orthodox Christian, act like one. And if you are a true Buddhist, breathe like one. So it was very simple, that he did not have the business of grabbing people from different departments and merging into his department. Great manager, right? No micromanaging, but only inspired us to do teamwork. So as I was saying, if you're sitting at your altar and praying to your beloved Lord, in my case, it's our sweet Lord Sathya Sai. If I'm sitting at my altar and praying, I open my heart up, and he belongs to me and I belong to him. There's nobody in the worldwide universe that can come between this connection. When you go to your samiti, of course, now we are not able to go, but we do online congregations. But when we were sitting in a physical concrete manner at a beautifully decorated altar by a few people at the centers, Sai centers, the concept of individual God did exist, but the collective consciousness overtook the individual consciousness. And that is very powerful. We don't know the power of it until we all meet, let's say in Prashantanilayam, sitting in the Sai Kulwant Hall, the magnificently decorated and lit up Sai Kulwant Hall, where we see our Purnavatar Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba gliding amongst us. The individual concept of our individual God, our individual consciousness is completely out of the window. We never realize these tiny changes or subtle changes that are happening in our conscious. At that point, you realize you are a drop in the ocean. And you have a very beautiful awakening that we are all in this together. So there is this individual consciousness that is taken over by this collective consciousness and lands us in a supreme consciousness state. And we come to realize that just by presenting ourselves in that high power energy our low negative energy voltage issues of negativity simply disappear without our individual effort. And that was the principle that Bhagavan taught all of us by his example. And so coming to my first point, Swami was very simple. For those of you who have seen Swami physically walking amongst us, he was very simple. He wore the same orange robe. Luckily, Swami and I are matching today. It's completely unplanned. Swami wore the same orange robe. He didn't have an issue to go into his closet and said, what can I wear today? It's like, I'm very simple. My philosophy is very simple. He said the same thing when he gave the very first discourse when he was in 8th grade and he declared that he is the avatar. At Sathya Gundu, he sat and he threw the flowers. We all remember that incident, Avatar Day declaration, right? Since that day until his last discourse that he gave into 2010, it was the same message. It was a very simple message. He gave it in different ways. He said, help ever, hurt never. Or he said, love all, serve all. Whatever he said meant the same thing. He was very simple in his message. If you ever got to have a chance to sit one-on-one with Swami physically and have a conversation, if you have been so blessed, you come to realize very early on that Swami is a very simple avatar. He does not care if you have 10 expensive cars, if you're a real estate mogul, if you have a huge bank balance, if you have a good stock performing well, or if you're really beautiful physically, or any of your physical characteristics or attributes, had nothing to do with him, nothing. And I stress this because there have been so many devotees who have come to Bhagavan with so much love and affection and offered property, offered physical objects that are highly valuable to this external perceptive world. And Swami, with a beautiful smile, has never accepted them. Swami has this beautiful attribute as an avatar to look into your heart beyond your mind and body. And I want to repeat this because this is the whole struggle of our spiritual sojourn, in my limited understanding of Bhagavan's message. He would look beyond our minds, he would look beyond our body. To him, it was just an equal plane. Everybody was equal, equalized for him. The field was equalized. In our minds, we had differentiations and bifurcations and compartmentalization of the fact that Swami likes them more than me. Swami prefers them more than me. Swami is partial to them more than me. We have these boxes in our head that we are stuck in. But for Bhagavan, it was completely an equalized field to bless, to protect, to care, to pour his affection, or to bless us. Now you may wonder, how do we know this? Well, I have a very simple analogy for that. Swami once, I remember this, and most of you would have heard of this incident as well, when he was building the super specialty hospital. When he announced it during his birthday celebration in a grand manner, everybody was baffled how this was going to be built in the first place in Prashantigram. But Swami had this full confidence that it was going to be done. So there were a bunch of students who had saved some money and then had put it in an envelope and had given it to him during darshan time. And there was this huge dignitary politician who had come, a VIP, with a big check, sizable check, to offer it to Bhagavan for his service mission. Swami took the check, tore it into pieces, and put it back in his pocket. Instead, Swami took the check from the student who had saved money, his pocket money, with great zeal to offer it to Bhagavan. And this is a clear indication of Swami sees your heart. Swami doesn't see your greatness. Swami doesn't see your position, doesn't see your power, doesn't see whatever you are to this world. It doesn't matter to him. And I find this very, very surprisingly enigmatic, because we live in a dichotomous world, right? We have one foot in the physical world, we have one foot in the spiritual world. And it's like riding two boats. If you have two kayaks and you put one foot here and one foot here, and you're standing and sailing and rowing, you cannot but fall. You will never balance unless you're an expert yogi. But very physically speaking, we are trying to manage two worlds at the same time, and we're rowing in the same speed, which is not possible in the spiritual realms. The another example that Swami gives is, you have an attic and you want to put stuff, store stuff in your attic. You need a ladder, right? To climb up, go there into the attic, put stuff out there. And then you can't hold on to the ladder, even though you're sitting in the attic and holding on to the ladder. No, I want the ladder. This kind of behavior that we have is called, as Swami calls, is raga, attachment. That we hold on to the ladder, we hold on to this world so tightly, even if we want to be in the spiritual realm of our attic. And Swami, as Swami has said, there is a treasure chest inside you. And I feel that treasure chest is sitting in that attic. And he has given us the ladder, this world, this body, this life, this gift that he has given us. And it's like, you can have all the fun you want in the world. There's no problem at all. Now, I want to make one thing clear is, many of us think that spirituality is a very difficult path to follow. Actually, it is the super easiest path to follow. Why? Because we feel that if you want to be spiritual, we have to give up certain things in life and we are losing out on something. That is not at all the case. As Swami has said, even scriptures tell us, Vedanta tells us, the non-dualistic philosophy tells us that you can have everything in the world, enjoy everything to its maximum, and yet be supremely spiritual or nearer to God. Now, this is a paradox of our life. We are not able to convince ourselves in that direction. And that is where our Bhagavan, Shri Sathya Sai Baba, comes in with his simple messages. Swami on convocation days used to give wonderful discourses. Some of you would have heard them in person or on Radio Sai on the discourse stream. He would talk about three things. And I think there's a very simple message there. He would talk about Kalimi, Balimi, and Chelimi. I will translate that for you. Kalimi is education. He would say, your entire life is divided into these three. The goal of your life is just these three, knowingly or unknowingly. One is education. You're always seeking knowledge. You are always acquiring knowledge. The second, you want to be powerful. You want to be strong, Balimi. The third is Chelimi. And you spend your entire life in friendships. And then he would point out, saying that, what is the use of having a knowledge that is not useful to the society? He was such a straightforward avatar, such a strict avatar, that while he's giving us the simple, sweet truth of life, he would immediately not waste any time in correcting us by saying that such an education, as soon as you get your degree, you're thinking how this education can pay me very well. And how can I amass so much wealth where I can live comfortably in the society and grow to a status that can belong to a powerful position. And he said, such an education is a complete waste of time. It's pretty hard to digest these simply strict and sweet words when you are sitting as one of the convocation graduates with the hat on your head, diploma in your hand, and you're waiting for the benediction that Swami is giving, is telling you right in front of you, under your nose, that your education is a piece of waste or garbage if it is not useful for the society. Because we know how we have worked very hard to write every assignment, every project, every test, work day and night and pull such all-nighters to pass this exam. And here is our convocation address that Swami is giving as a chancellor of the university. He is the chancellor. He could have given us a great toast to our great achievements, but for him, it was completely useless if this was not useful to the society. Swami did give us Kalimi, did give us education, but at the same time, he didn't waste any time year after year, day after day, second after second, to point out that whatever you're learning here, the secular education, is my gift to you, no doubt. But if it is not useful to the society, it's a complete waste of your time and your life. And these are very powerful sentences that you will never hear in a convocation address. The second thing he would say is strength. So you think your education will make you rich, will give you power and position, and make you strong in your perception in this society. We do that. We get a job. We want to progress faster and faster. We want to get our promotions as fast as we can, go rise to a senior position, no doubt. And Swami has said that it is okay to have such desires, but becoming power hungry just for becoming strong in any situation is wrong. The third thing he would say is friendships. Swami's beautiful anecdote that he gives is that if you have friendships, such a ship is bound to drown. The moment you're not in a powerful position, the moment all greatness or goodness disappears from you, or the moment your character is not stellar anymore. And he would say the only true friend is Bhagavan. And I think those are the very simple 3 words that we seek in our life continuously, to think about it. We get up in the morning, we have food, we want to make our body strong, balimi. We dress well, so we have a good impression, balimi. We use our education to go for a job from 9 to 5, kalimi, right? It's the same equation. After 5 o'clock, we come home, we get ready. We want to enjoy our life, chalimi, friendship. So our life cycles around these 3 significant aspects that we are not paying close attention to. And that's the pivotal point of my satsang today, is how these 3 things have changed my perception with Bhagavan and reading Swami's message. So coming back to Swami's message of simplicity is that we have to use our education for the betterment of society. Swami would even go one further step to say that you can throw these degrees into the trash if you are not of any use to the society, or your knowledge is not of any use to the society. And if we think calmly about this, and Swami is absolutely spot on, he gives a very simple example of a beggar. There was a beggar who was continuously begging. Dharma of a beggar is to beg. So he was doing his dharma, right? So as he was begging, there was this rich man whose house he would come about every single time. And the rich man got so exasperated and frustrated with him. And he said, "Don't you have any shame? Why are you always constantly begging? Don't you have any self-dignity or self-respect?" So the beggar smiled very sweetly and he said, "Sir, don't feel bad. You already have a couple of millions with you. I am working very hard to acquire 1 million. That's all. I am at the first step. You've already gone 10 steps ahead of me." So Swami would tell this anecdote that we have kalimi, balimi, chalimi in our hands to use it for the right use. And there is no other grand example that we can think of other than Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. The question that I ask every day myself is, what did Swami get out of providing free water? What did Swami get out of providing free education? What did Swami get out of providing free Medicare? What did Swami get out of establishing more than 120 Sai centers globally? What did he get out of it from a small, tiny hamlet of Prashantandim or Puttaparthi? It's something that we have to think about. It has such a resounding effect in our life that we are not able to spend a single day without thinking about Bhagavan or without bringing Prashantandim into our hearts, right? And so if Swami could accomplish and give us such grand examples as inspiration, then it just becomes our responsibility to get inspired. That is the least we can do, right? If you are constantly telling me, as Swami says, "I'm very cold, I'm very cold," what Swami will do is he will start a fire for you and say, "Help yourself." All that you have to do is take yourself and stand near the fire Not so close that you get burnt, not too far that you're very cold. The example that Swami gives is the step-up transformer and the step-down transformer. I'm sure most of you have heard that. So for those of you who have not heard this example, is another example that I like to remind myself about is when you feel that, you don't have peace of mind, or you don't feel the purpose of life, when you're just living life aimlessly, or you're missing Bhagwan, you need to have a step-up transformer. What does a step-up transformer do? It basically strengthens the current and relays it to far distances in a high voltage. So we have to set up a step-up transformer. Our sadhana should be like a step-up transformer. And if we are so close to the grid, if we live so close to the grid, there's a step-down transformer that converts high voltage to low voltage to the required voltage required for your house to run all appliances in the correct usage. And so when you have so much love and energy for Bhagwan and you want to do so much, you have to channelize it like a step-down transformer. And that is what are Swami's institutions. I got something out of Swami's institution. All of you who are here on this call have definitely got something from this organization or from Swami's message. And that message is simple, sweet, and very strictly straightforward. And so Kalimi, Balimi, and Chelimi are the three things. Now, speaking of friendship, when Swami would mention this year after year, I would start thinking about it. And Chelimi, friendship hit me very hard. And I said, okay, so what you're trying to market, Swami is a great marketing manager. And he would not polish anything for marketing. He would not lie into marketing. He would just very plain, straightforward marketing. This is this is that. If you do this, you'll get this. If you don't do, you'll get that reward. Very simple, black and white. It's very nice. And so I started thinking, I said, okay, if I have to have a friendship with God, then I have to be very openly straightforward to him. I have to be like a transparent glass. I cannot be like a mirror. A mirror, as Swami says, is, covered at the back. It's not see-through. So I can't be a mirror. I have to be a transparent glass. Now, remember one thing, there is a great advantage and there is a great disadvantage if you have Swami as your friend. Disadvantage is a nice way. In a nice way, I mean, not in a negative manner. You'll come to know very soon why I said that. Now, the greatest advantage is that he's always with you. That is also the greatest disadvantage. Now that he's always with us, it becomes even more pressure and full environment where it's like a CCTV camera on each one of us watching us very closely. Swami is an excellent record keeper. Every single thought that is going in your mind is very safely locked and deposited in his mind as well, not only in your consciousness, as well as in his consciousness. So then it becomes an extra awareness that Swami is always listening to me. Swami is always watching me. Swami is always with me. Now, with this comes the greatest disadvantages. The moment you make Swami your best friend, it goes both ways. You can say whatever you want to Swami. Swami has an equal right on you to say whatever he feels like to you or do what he feels with you. The beautiful example that Swami gives is the harmonium. If some of you are bhajan singers, you will know. If you play the harmonium, you will know. When the musician is sitting with the harmonium and he's playing, let's say, Mohanam, or he's playing Hindolam, or he's playing Shivaranjani, right? If he's playing the notes correctly, the harmonium plays the notes correctly. If he misses one note in Shivaranjani, for example, and plays the wrong Gandhara, then the harmonium does not retort back, oh my God, my dear musician, stop playing. You're playing apashruti, the wrong note. Does it? It doesn't. So this is what happens in the divine friendship. We have to be like the harmonium. Swami's expectation in friendship is to be like the harmonium. The other beautiful example Swami gives is the murali, the flute. Swami says that your body also has these 9 openings like the murali. Only when everything is clean and hollow, beautiful music can come out. Only then Krishna, Lord Sai Krishna, will lift you up as an instrument like a murali and play his message or his life through you. So musical examples, Swami is into music, we have heard one thing. But what I'm trying to say is that in this friendship, advantages, disadvantages. Last time I did mention how Swami had taken pains to correct me. Most of you who missed it can go back and listen to it, obviously. So, so just to make sure that I don't repeat the same thing, one thing that comes to my mind is, in friendship, we are not very transparent to Swami. We think we are. We think we are the greatest devotees. When we sit in the Samiti, when we sit in our altar, we think we are the embodiment of Sakubai. We are like Lord Buddha, literally sitting in front of me, and nothing but the white halo is behind us, and nothing else is seen to Bhagavan. That's wrong. Swami sees everything, but he looks beyond everything and sees our true nature. And we sit in such individual consciousness in front of Bhagavan, in front of our individual avatar. And we tell Swami, I have a problem with this guy, I have a problem with this girl, I have a problem with my family member, I have a problem with the office, I have a problem with this, I have a problem with that. And we list everything. It is okay. If you consider him as a friend, it's okay to list everything. But there will come a point in friendship where you will realize that, do I really want to see my best friend and always nag and complain to him? For example, I quote this many times is, let's say you're going to see your best friend and you make plans, which we are experts in it. We plan what kind of a dress we have to wear, what kind of pictures we will take, what kind of filters we are going to put, where and all we are going to publish this on social media, and where we are going to meet, what we are going to eat, how we are going to have fun, which movie we are going to see, name it. We have a list of things that we plan. We are great at it. And once we go there, we dress up, we make sure we have a gala time, a great time. Now, have you ever gone to a meeting where you meet your loved friends, so-called true friends, and sit and complain about stuff? Do you have a condolence meeting? We never have a condolence meeting. We are at our best behavior. We are at our best dressed self, and we are at our best mood for a trivial worldly friend. So it had me thinking, I'm going so far out in friendships that are temporary and external, not going to last long, never going to come with me when I leave this body. What about the real friendship that Swami is talking about? Chelimi. I must work at it. So it had me thinking about that if I have to have a conversation with my friend, let me have a true conversation. Let me not have a conversation that no friend wants to listen to. And then that friend, suppose you had a friend who's always sitting and complaining about this and that. That friend is like, oh my God, I don't want to meet this person. He or she is always talking negatively, drains my energy out. I want to avoid that person. We have some friends like that, don't we? And we keep a distance from them. So do you think Swami is going to like such friendship? But we want Swami to only do good things for us. We want Swami to only take care of our health problems, our monetary problems, our family problems, our external worldly problems. But our friendship has to come to a point where both of us, Swami and I, you and Swami, can sit at one place and just feel our hearts. And that can come when we practice his message. There is no other way out of this. There is no other way into this. This is a simple and short answer that I have for you. And so the path of Sai, or the path to Sai, is your own path that you need to create with the help of the directions that Bhagavan has given us. I cannot tell you that my path will work for you. Sure, it can inspire you. Sure, it can give you an idea of shoot. But you have to come up with something novel that can attract your attention and seal the friendship and make Swami realize that you are his best friend and he is your best friend. That is in your hands. Nobody can give you the recipe for that. The lamest example that I can give you is sambar. Your house sambar will not taste like your neighbor's sambar or your other friend's sambar, but it is sambar, right? So you have to come up with your own tasty recipe of your friendship where Swami and you share that unique bond. And why this is important is because if we don't have that greater understanding of what is the purpose of this friendship, then we can never awaken ourselves to the purpose of this organization, to the purpose of Swami's avatarhood. And this is the first step is that individual consciousness, the connection that you and Swami have. And that will come only when you value his friendship. Let me tell you a very simple example. There was a time, this happened very recently, and there was a time where I was, very busy with my work, going about my work and day-to-day activities. This happened very recently, in fact, last month. And I had come home and I was very tired. I was very busy. And the one sadhana that I like to do every single day, no matter what happens, as I mentioned the last time, is Swami had told me once in my dream to do bhajan every day. And this is something that I had started as early on as when I got into Swami's organization, into Swami's fold as a Bal Vikas child. And if I'm not able to do it, I'm thinking about it during that time course. So I have been going about doing bhajan, come home, get ready, just 5 or 6 bhajans, Subramanyam, Sarvadharma, Arati, done. And so one of those days I came home and I had a massive migraine. And what I like to do is I don't like to take medication. And so what I said was, Swami, this is your prasadam. So I'm going to live with it. So I was trying to chant to myself, this is not the body. The headache doesn't belong to me. This is not my body. So with that thought, what I did was I usually tried to take a half sari or a chunni, or dupatta, and I tie it to my head tightly. And I go about my work because that is one track. My work is one track. But that day I was not able to do bhajan. I said, Swami, I cannot stand it because I have a photophobic headache and a phonophobic headache, massive headache. So I decided not to do bhajan that day and I retired for the day early. And at this point, I pushed that hairband to my eyes because my eyes were hurting tightly. And I went to bed. Swami came in my dream that morning, very early in the morning. And I was in a room, I was in a bed. And I could see myself in the same attire that I was sleeping with a tightly band, And Swami had walked in beautiful orange robe with a smile, and in Tamil, he was scolding me. And he said, Eppadi thoongra par, yermamad. Literally, he called me a dunapotu. Swami in Telugu is dunapotu, Swami's favorite word. He would never scold anybody. But in Tamil, he said, Eppadi thoongra par, yermamad. And I heard that and I said, come on, Swami, you are my friend. How could you call me a buffalo? But that is an endearing word. And whatever he calls is my best friend's, gift to me. And so I took it that way. And then he came near me and he kept saying, wake up, Pallavi, in English. He said, wake up, wake up. And he then patted me on my shoulder and he said, wake up. See, it's early in the morning. The sun has come out and you're still sleeping. Wake up. And he woke me up and he gave me a very beautiful hug and he patted on my shoulder and he said, wake up, it's good morning. And he walked away and I woke and the dream got over. Now I woke up and I thought, I was not able to see anything, obviously, because of the thing. And I thought to myself, well, I should follow Swami's command. Now waking up to his message or physically waking up, both, I have to follow. So I immediately, pushed my band up and it was so bright. It was absolutely bright. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I had slept in. This is very unlikely of me. And I was trying to look at the clock and I had to come really close to everything. And I realized that I have a blurred vision. And that's when I did not panic, but I was surprised that, oh no. So now I started thinking, well, now here we are almost 50% Surdas. Surdas had no vision, right? But he became immortal in God's name. And I started thinking, Pallavi, you are 50% Surdas now. This is great. All that I started doing was I couldn't do. So I called in sick. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't drive myself to the doctor. I couldn't call an Uber. I couldn't do anything that day. I could see everything white. I could step foot somewhere, but I couldn't resolve an image clearly. And my biggest worry that day that I made myself understand by Swami's grace is the awareness that I couldn't see Swami's form. It was as simple as that. There was no other agony. I didn't have an agony that I won't be able to use the pipette to pipette 40 microliters, 50 microliters, or do calculations or do analysis, nothing. That is not my primary worry. My primary worry was I have this very big picture of Swami on my wall and I couldn't see this life-size picture of Bhagavan, which was so troublesome. And I said, oh no. So the whole day, I didn't do anything. Except I sat in one corner and I started thinking about all the Krishna or the Surdas bhajans that have, and now they had a new meaning to me. The beautiful line, when you would sing, Surdas ke Shama Murari Akhiya teri darsh ke pyasi. That line exactly means that the beloved of Krishna, Surdas, that Bhakta, my eyes are pining to see you. Who said this? Surdas, who was completely blind, 100% blind. And I used to wonder about that every time that bhajan would come on. As Swami would say, right? Krishna appeared to Surdas and said, Surdas, I'm very pleased with your devotion. I'm ready to give your eyesight back. Do you want it? Tell me now. Let's do it. And Surdas, so humble, so devoted, said, no, Lord, I don't want your blessing as for your eyesight. I have already seen you. There's nothing else to be seen in this world. I am happy with that knowledge and that experience. What will I get seeing this world? I don't want it. And he rejected the marketing offer from a great marketing manager. So that incident hit me. And I said, I'm 50% Surdas. Now I have a new appreciation for my eyes. The part of your body which we never pay attention to. We scrub it, we do multiple things with it. We never pay attention. Let's be honest. And I had this new appreciation and new awareness that I was acutely aware of the gift of eyesight that I had all of a sudden. The whole day went by. I could not see a single thing resolved. And I then, managed my way. I set up the altar. I cleaned my lamps. I washed, however clean they were. I did my bhajan. I retired for the day. I tried to look at Swami's picture and I said, I still can't see you, Bhagavan. It's very sad. I was very heartbroken, very heartbroken. That is the second I realized I have this blessing that I'm not taking it very seriously. And I went to bed thinking, Swami, well, if this is your prasadam, if this is your sankalpam, or if this is your blessing, so be it. We'll see if there is tomorrow. We will decide what to do. Completely non-worried about it, not worried. Went to bed, woke up next morning. I was not afraid to open my eyes. I was not afraid of anything except the fear that I cannot see my best friend. That was lingering more in my mind. And I opened my eyes. I turned towards that big picture of Bhagavan and I looked at him and I could see his eyelashes. And I was like, yes, I am no more a 50% Surdas. Swami has made me 100% Mirabai or 100% Sakubai. He has given me the gift of light. He has given me the gift of drishti. And so that every day onward, I would walk by him or do any work. If I'm able to see something, I would say, thank you for giving me eyesight, Bhagavan. Like I literally rubbed into it. I literally rubbed him into it. So Swami, thank you for the eyesight. Thank you for the eyesight. But the point I'm trying to make to you is that we all feel that we have a certain desire. We have a certain problem. We are praying and why is Swami not solving it? And this is an example. This is an indication that I'm sharing from my personal example is that we don't need to make him aware of anything. He knows best. This is a grand example of my foolish behavior that I am sharing with all of you, is that I did not know that I'm going to lose my eyesight because of my wrong actions. I did not know that I have tied the piece of cloth so tight that my cells in the eyes are going to be so compressed and go to a temporary vision, loss of vision state. I did not know the future. But Swami knew the future and he came at the right time and he woke me up. Had I been sleeping away to glory like Kumbhakarna, I would have lost my eyesight maybe. I don't know that. I'm speculating at this point. But the point of this experience is not that Swami came to me specifically and saved me. No. Not that Swami came and spoke to me. No. Not that Swami blessed me. No. The point, the objective understanding of this experience is that he is aware of what is about to happen to us in every second of our life. And to such a best friend, you cannot complain. So after that, every time I see there is a potential chance of negativity or difficulty coming my way that I am seemingly not ready to accept, I can't even say anything. What am I going to say to the one who gave me sight? Complain to him? He's like, no, you can't even come near me. Go away from me. That is the sweetness of our Lord. That brings us to the second part of our section, is sweetness. So, and I have 10 more minutes. I'm keeping count on time. And so the last part of Bhagavan that I wanted to tell in the path of Sai, the path to Sai, is that you have to keep in mind that Swami is very simple. He doesn't want anything from you. If you do your duty, he is good enough, happy. If you don't have something to offer, it's fine. But if you are simple in your devotion, is all he needs. Swami's prayer, as he has taught us, is that Swami has said, give me your manophalam, the fruit of your mind. Swami has said, give me your hridaya pushpam, give me the lotus, the flower of your heart. Swami has said, give me deha patram, give me the body, the leaf of your, in the form of your body. And he said, give me water, ananda bashpam, he said, give me the tears of joy, not the tears of sorrow. These are the 4 expectations Swami has. And for that, you don't need kalimi. You don't need balimi. You definitely don't need chalimi, right? These are very simple, not available in any shopping complex or mall. These are available within us. So he wants something, let me make this very clear. He wants something that he created, and he's just telling, just give it back to me in the same condition. Nothing more, nothing less. And that is the simple and the sweetness of Bhagavan's message. And that brings me and us to the last point of the satsang, is how strict he is. Now, my to-go sentence that I always try to remind myself whenever I find myself slipping down the path to Sai or off Sai, is that Swami is a no-nonsense avatar. Let me repeat this till you understand this. Swami is an extremely no-nonsense avatar. This is very important to understand. Swami has said that you have come here on a very limited visa. It is a multiple entry visa. How many years, how many janmas, we don't know, but we have multiple entry visa in this world. We can come here year after year as long as we have the visa. We can enjoy everything in this picnic, in this tourism, and we can go back. But we have to go back. Now, some of us are living our lives thinking, oh, we have multiple entry. Next janma, next birth, we can take care of this self-realization business, which seems really complicated. Actually not. Swami says the very simple example is that the moment you see God in man, you have reached the goal of Bhagavan's message. But the moment you see man and God, you have bound yourself with all the kinds of illusion. We have to remember one thing, that illusion has a cure. Delusion has no cure. As Swami says, illusion will save you at some level as soon as you understand that intellectually. I'll give you a very simple example, beggar. Beggar seems to be my real examples today for some reason. Most of you are aware of Buddhism, that is very much prevalent in Sri Lanka. Right? They have a very simple message. Swami's message also is simple as that. Right knowledge, right understanding, right skill. These are the 3 things Swami has said repeatedly. If you have the right knowledge, the right education, you have studied a doctor's degree, and you have the right understanding of application of that knowledge, you have to have the right skill, become a good surgeon, and serve the society. It's very simple, straightforward, right? As Swami. So there's a beggar who wants to be a millionaire. So what does he do? He has the right knowledge. I want to be a millionaire. Perfect. What does he do? Right understanding. He has the right understanding. He has the knowledge. He has the understanding. But what does he do? He doesn't have the right skill. He doesn't have the right understanding to such an extent where he can translate and make it a reality. A simple example is this. You were walking on a road. You hit something hit you, let's say, and you fell down, you broke your leg or you broke your arm. There's a minor scratch or a minor fracture or a major fracture, let's say. The first thing we do is, oh my God, I'm hurt. And we are scolding who? The to-go person who you can't see, who you can't hear. Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba, or any God you pray to. This is because of you. I pray to you every day. I light a lamp every day. I do this, I do that, and this happened to me. What kind of a God are you? let's say it slips out of your mind unconsciously or even consciously. Now, there is a second scenario to this. Let's say Swami appears in front of you while you're giving him such great praiseworthy sentences. And then Swami says, Bangaru, my dear, you were about to end your life from this accident and I saved it and I turned it into a minor fracture or a major fracture. You will recover, but you will live. You have got the gift of life. So then the first instance, you had the right knowledge, you had the wrong understanding and the wrong skill of your devotion in blaming God. In the second instance, you had the right knowledge. You see, you have the wrong knowledge that Swami saved me for a reason. Then you have a right understanding. Then you use your right skills of your devotion and say, oh Lord, thank you very much. I'm very grateful to you. So right knowledge, right understanding, and right skill is very important when we develop the correct balimir, the correct strength, the correct mental understanding, the correct physical understanding, and the correct spiritual understanding to Swami's message. And so, as I was saying, Swami is a no-nonsense avatar. There have been multiple instances where Swami has corrected people. There have been multiple experiences all of you would have heard. Swami will spare no leaf unturned to correct you. That is a disadvantage of his friendship. Now, he will go to any extent to make you understand that you're wrong. Very lovingly, very in a simple way, very sweet way, in a very strict way, in a very straightforward way. So since I have about 5 minutes, I'm going to share one more experience and I'm going to close this session and then we can take the questions from there on. I must say one thing. I've had multiple experiences by Bhagavan's grace, and not all of them are very rosy. Now all of us hear such beautiful experiences, right? And we think, their life has been like a very smooth, royal red carpet with Bhagavan. Why has my life become like the, path of thorns for me? The only difference there is nobody's telling you the ugliest phases of their life that they have gone through to appreciate the most beautiful lesson that they have learned. Nobody wants to address their ugliness. Very simple. I'll give you a very simple example. Do we have the courage to sit quietly in front of Swami's picture in the altar or in Prashantanilem in front of his samadhi or in the center in front of his picture or in his presence and tell Bhagavan, I have these bad qualities. I would like to fix it. Please take it out. No. We only want to hear good about ourselves from everyone. We only want to get good things from everyone. We never want to do or learn or understand anything bad about ourselves. We are so self-absorbed, so self-obsessed. And this obsession will be broken the moment you decide you want to be a best friend with Bhagavan. That is absolutely no doubt. I will throw it out right out there with you. And he's the hardest taskmaster for our own good. So as I was saying, Swami is a no-nonsense person. And as I said, we have come here on a limited visa. Our time is there, expiry is there. We are going to go back, but we can enjoy everything. As Vedanta says, you can be happy. You can have everything that you want. You can do anything that you want as long as you follow the 5 values that have been given to you. Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Himsa. You can have everything. In fact, Vedanta goes one more step and tells you that even if you don't strive for all these power, position, and good name and character, they will all come running to you if you have Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Himsa. And it is absolutely true. Now, this is mind-boggling. You may think, but it is absolutely true. It will all come running to you as long as you follow these 5 values. And that is why, instead of Swami giving us grand examples and explanations from the scripture, said, Bangaru, just follow these 5 things. You're good to go. Instead, what do? Why do you want me to follow? Tell me that first. It's like you can't wake up early in the morning and go to your parents and mother and father and say, give me a paternity test. Give me a maternity test. Prove to me that you're really my mother and father. Do we do that? No. Instead, we go to Bhagavan. Oh, you're the Lord of the universe. We are such good buttering factories. For what? For a person who knows everything about our 500 births before and 500 after? Or how many ever? We don't need to butter him. That is the most foolish thing we can ever do. We don't need to praise Bhagavan. We just need to do what he wants us to do. and rest will just follow. Do you go to your parents as a child? If you have a child, you will know. Does your child come up to say, oh, the father with the bank account of this many lakh rupees, this many lakhs of the millions of dollars, please buy me a piece of bicycle? No. This is what we do with Bhagavan, which we should not do at all, because he knows us closest than anybody else. So coming back to the experience that I was trying to share is, we can have all the fun in the world. Now, all the fun in the world, as long as we remember that it is temporary, negative kind of happiness. We have to seek the positive kind of happiness that will only grow and always be boundless and limitless. To give you a very simple example, let's take the example of the recent cricket match series that happened between Sri Lanka and England. All of us watched the match, right? I'm sure there are so many cricket fanatics, including me over here. We all watched the match with so much passion, going forward, wasting our energy, time, putting everything aside, glued for hours together in front of that idiot box and watching our country play, which is your duty, which is your dharma. You have done a great job. But at the end, we didn't win the series. And some of us were emotionally discharged, and some of us were very angry at the players, and some of us was very unhappy that what happened, right? That is the negative kind of happiness. The positive kind of happiness is you've done your duty, you've supported the team, you've had fun, you enjoyed the match. Swami never said. Swami would ask when World Cup would go on, what is the score? He would keep the interest. Swami always played along with us. He was never standoffish. It's like, you do your thing, I do my thing. No, he would ask for the score, ball to ball, over to over. So that is the negative kind of happiness. So the positive kind of happiness. So I was a very great cricket fan, and my family can vouch for it. I'm talking about 1997, way back, 1995, when the World Cup was going on. I remember India was playing a match, and in the semifinals, there was about a couple of overs left. They had to score a lot of runs, and we were not going anywhere, basically. We were not going anywhere. It was very clear. But I was such a true hardcore cricket fanatic that I would sit in front of the idiot box and I would get my books. And 10th standard is the public exam year where your entire future of Kalimi, your education, is hinged over it. Being a Balavika student, I knew that Swami is not going to like as a friend, but then Swami is also your best friend, and he's very understandable to all our, our misfortune or all our misdeeds that we do. He's understanding, he will adjust. For some reason, Swami has to adjust, but we can't adjust to Bhagavan. This is the learning lesson that this experience taught me. And so I took out all my books. I piled them next to me. I put them in my lap. And in my lap, I had a book of Vishnu Sahasranamam. It is the 1008 names of Lord Mahavishnu, Lord Narayana. And I am sitting and reading that very, very passionately, praying. It's my duty to support my country. It's my dharma. I'm a great patriot. So I'm sitting there reading Vishnu Sahasranamam. Food is going on there, breakfast is going on there, lunch is going on there. It's a whole day match, 50 overs, right? And then you have to watch replay. And then you have to analyze this whole match. There's so much to do at this point of time. And so I'm sitting there in the afternoon. I remember this. And most of you would have observed your parents. They do this thing. They silently walk by 300 times. They give you this vibe that watch out. So my mother was going back and forth. And I was like, I see this warning signal. My satellite vision caught it. But at the same time, I said, we can manage few more overs. And then I got a warning finally. Said, you have a public exam. Sachin Tendulkar has made his life by playing cricket according to his duty, has done his best dharma. You should do your duty, study for mathematics, do your dharma. You're not doing your dharma as a student. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's done. And so I managed to continue. And I'm praying. All of a sudden, what happens? The cable channel goes. And now there is this white screen that is going in the TV. And I'm thinking, oh no, I have missed a ball. I have missed 2 balls. I missed 3 balls. And so I missed an entire over. So I'm unplugging the cable connections, everything. I'm checking all the things. Everything is perfectly fine. I called the cable guy. I said, hello, the cable is not coming. This madam, everybody's house's cable is coming. Only in your house, the cable is not coming. Tube light. The light didn't go off yet. And so I started praying, Swami, please, just 2 overs. I will turn it off. I know you have given me a warning through my mother. I got it. I got the memo. I'm going to do this. 2 overs go. as soon as I say this, the channel comes back and I'm watching and I'm so thrilled and grateful to Bhagavan at the same time. And I know I'm counting the number of balls and 12 ball goes, or said 2 more overs. So Swami, just 2 more overs, please, please. So 1 more over goes by and I'm thinking of Swami's game. Now what happens? Electricity blows off. There's no electricity in this house. And I'm calling the watchman and said, can you call the electrician, please? The electricity is not functioning. This World Cup is going on. What is wrong with all of you? Why are you pulling plug? Where's the generator? Turn the generator off, on. And so he says, madam, only your house doesn't have electricity. Every other house has electricity. And I'm like, I can hear people roaring and cheering for some 6 or some 4. And my heart is just melting in pain here. You will know if you're a cricket fan, how passionate you're about not missing a single ball. And my heart is just, from the bottom of the heart, I'm praying to Swami, Swami, please, for your best friend's sake, do this for me. And the current comes on immediately. And I said, okay, 1 more over, I'm going to be done. And at this point, there are about 4 more overs there. And I'm thinking, I can maybe swindle in 3 more overs and Swami will understand it's the end of the game, And 1 more over goes by, everything is said and done. I'm enjoying the match, I'm praying at this point, and it's becoming already very acutely obvious that we're not going to win the match. But still, my dharma, my duty as a patriot, I have to support my team, right? So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, somebody is knocking on my head. And I thought, there's nobody who watches cricket like me who's knocking on the head. I look up, and I just do that. Nothing is there. Somebody's knocking on my head again. And then I look up, there's a tail on my face, on my right cheek. There is a mouse sitting on top of my head and digging away to glory on my scalp. I screamed in terror, in panic, just ran through everything that was there, ran into my room, shut the door, gasping for air, crying buckets out of fear. Later, I find out that the window mesh where we have on the window is the mesh to stop mosquitoes. The mouse had bit into it, climbed up on me through the sofa back, and then sitting on my head. Swami was extremely successful in getting me out of there. Let's just very objectively take the message from this experience. And I went to bed. I was very, very tired from all this sadhana camp that Swami put me through. And I woke and I went to bed, and Swami came in my dream and he said, you asked me to help you to get rid of the bad habit of cricket addiction, didn't you? And that is the biggest advantage and disadvantage. He will make it his priority number 1 to fix you. All that you have to do is you have to admit. He will give you that opportunity. And if you bail that opportunity of correcting yourself, changing yourself or transforming yourself to his message, then it is our loss. It is not Bhagavan's loss. And so Swami told me, how many times do I have to give you a warning? The cable goes, the electricity goes. And finally, I had to send Ganesha, his Vahana, to help you to get out of the chair. Don't watch anymore. He gave me a very stern warning. And so it has been that day since I have never sat and watched TV per se, a cricket match. Yes, I'll scroll through and I'll see the scores, obviously, but I've never glued myself for hours together. That was a lesson that I learned. Swami didn't tell me not to watch the cricket match, but he did tell me how to use my time wisely. He did teach me very strictly in a straightforward manner that he will go to any extent to correct ourselves. So to bring closure to this talk, all that I'm trying to tell is the path to Sai is in your hands, which is inspired by Swami's message. You have to build the road. Swami has given us the ingredients. Swami has given us the cement. Swami has given us the tar. Swami has given all ingredients required to clean that path to him. That is in our hands. We cannot assume that if Swami gives you, Swami would say, if you're hungry, I can put a puri in your plate. I can even go ahead and put potato curry on that plate. But you have to make an effort to take both and put it in your mouth. After that, your body is doing rest of the work. So that effort of just picking up what Swami has given us to carve that path to Sai is in our hands. And that can only come when our life is simple, when our life is sweet, when our life is very strict in discipline to a devotion to God, with a very straightforward, objective perception, outlook to his message and to his love. So thank you, everyone. It was absolutely beautiful coming back and reliving certain experiences that I shared with all of you. I hope that I did a good job, and this would be my last invitation, so that I've done my job perfectly well. I think language was the issue last time. This time, I think everything has fallen into place, and I would have finished the job 100% well. So as Swami has always said, live in Sai, live for Sai, live the way to Sai. Sairam, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Pallavi, for that beautiful sharing with so many practical and relatable instances. So we'll now start taking the questions. The first question is, what was your most toughest experience in this journey towards Sai?
It's the most dangerous question, right? As I said, nobody wants to address your negativities. That is the first cleaning process. Always the laundry process is the toughest process. You can hand over luggage to the dhobi, to the washerman, but the amount of washing that happens is the painful part. I'm sure my family will also, agree to this. I can tell very humbly and very openly is that when I first came into Bhagavan's fold, I was 8 years old. I was maybe 1 year older to Prahlada. I'm not very proud of saying that, but I didn't have the kind of devotion Prahlada had at all. I was in the process of that. And I had come, I remember I was in group 1 Bal Vikas. I had a very, 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 I cannot stress, monumental anger, rage issues. And that was the first thing that Swami addressed without making me aware of it. And you may wonder at 8 years of age, how do you detect this huge manufacturing defect? It's not a manufacturing defect, it was a manufacturing effect, I feel. I should put it that way. The rage, I cannot even begin to say, is if I would get angry, I would just throw things like glass, for example. I would break stuff. If my parents would buy me jewelry, I would cut up the necklaces, silver and gold, and with the scissors. For example, Golus, if you wear anklets, I would cut them up in anger. I would cut up clothes to show my rage. I didn't know what I was experiencing. And I think that is the greatest effect that I have had of Swami's message on me, is that he has taught me very subtly, very sweetly, and very strictly that no, this is not acceptable. He has come and fixed it in different ways. I didn't realize that until I came into, when I became a young adult, I realized, oh, we have become a different individual altogether. How did this happen? Because I didn't work on it, but Swami worked on the different trigger points or facets of my life, facets of my environment, facets of my behavior, facets of my character that brought out that kind of an animal quality out of me. So I think I cannot say I'm 100% rage free, but I can say that I am 75 to 80% rage free. I'm still there. I'm not at the destination yet.
Thank you, sister, for that answer. We'll move on to the next question. When speaking of building friendship with Swami, an avatar, it's relatively easy to develop friendship with a physical persona than with an avatar. All of us are at different stages or levels in spirituality and varying levels of awareness on Swami as an avatar. How do we go about building this friendship amidst the challenges of not being able to see him physically nor get a response quite often in comparison to a physical friend?
Very beautiful question. Very poignant question. So there are 4 questions in one question. Whoever sent this question is supremely intelligent. He or she doesn't need an answer actually, but still I'm going to attempt to answer it. So when you want to have divine friendship, you cannot have excuses. Number 1. If you are not able to do or come up with excuses with a physical friendship, you should do the same. Whatever you do with your physical friends, you do the same thing with Bhagavan. I will tell you a very simple example. When I had come to the US to do my PhD, of course, I couldn't travel far and wide to make time for Swami as a friend. So every Saturday and Sunday, this is what I did. I said, I have a date with my friend. It's dead serious. You may laugh at it. I have no problem at it. I would get ready. Literally, I will get ready as I would meet my friend. I would get ready, take out my best clothes, make the best food. I would light a candle. I would do a prayer. And then I would sit in front of him and I would have a candlelight dinner with Swami. And I would just talk about his message to him or about something nice or share whatever happened to me. What I want to tell you is that you have to do the same thing. You don't have problems. We don't need a physical confirmation. I never had a physical confirmation. I will tell you, I was in Chennai when I developed this bond of friendship and I decided this is what I want to do. I was not in Puttaparthi. I just had this 100% faith, just like how Swami as my best friend has faith in my friendship. I had this 100% faith that I am his friend. There is no 2 ways about it. And I would do everything from dawn to dusk. You have to be supremely mad about it in a good way. You have to get up in the morning and the first thing you should say is, hi friend, hi Swami, good morning, Saira. Thank you for giving me the gift of life. Everything that you do, you have to make sure you're involving him in that conversation as a friend. Just like how we share everything with our friend, you have to do that with him. You have to share any triviality with him. You have to rigorously do that. It's a practice. It takes a lot of practice. This friendship cannot allow any slips. But this friendship has no expectations from his end. He has no expectations. If you don't tell him one day, he will be the same way loving you. If you tell him the other day, he will love you the same way. But he will give you confirmation. There is no doubt about it in my mind. I don't know if I told this in the last section, but there's a grand example. I would write letters to Bhagavan. I would write 21 pages back to back from Monday through Sunday. What I did, I woke up at 7 a.m. I was in a very bad mood. I ate this breakfast, which I didn't like. Then I went to college. I went to school. I did this. This is the work they gave me. I think this is outrageous. I don't think this is the correct way to do things. I went to Samiti. I did this work. I did that work. I slept at this time. Name it. I would write back-to-back pages and I would send a registered mail to Bhagavan every Monday, and my parents would just not like it. They would tell me, whose money is this? And I would give them Pallavi Vedantam. I would tell them, you give Swami this many 30 rupees for registered post. Swami will give you 30,000 rupees back. I would give them philosophy lectures, and my parents like, stop right there. The day you start earning, that's the day you start spending. You don't spend our money. They were right, of course. But this went on for 3 months. Swami came in my dream. 3 months later, he was holding all the letters that I had written to him, all of them. And I had decorated these envelopes with different sketch pen flower drawings because Swami would get bored. He's my friend. I need to entertain him supremely. And so Swami said, how much can you write? You think I have no other work to do in this world? I have an organization to run. I have a world to run. And I don't have time to sit and write your letters, read your letters. I was so disappointed in that 1 millisecond because of my limited understanding of Bhagavan. I thought, what is this? I am being the best friend and this is how my best friend is reacting to me. Swami said, Bangaru, I am in your heart. I'm in your conscience. Talk to me there. You don't have to believe my experience. You don't have to believe any experience of all the saints and sages. You don't even have to believe what Swami has said. Swami has said this in discourses. Do it. You will get an experience. There is no doubt in my mind. Swami is a very answerable Bhagwan, even though you think he is not an answerable avatar. He's always with you. And to make a friend like that, you have to physically first train your body, physically train your mind. And the second you are on autopilot mode in that friendship, he's bound to give you an indication. I will change my name. There you go. So in a divine friendship, I fought for it. I said, I'm not taking no for an answer. You can be Kali Yuga avatar. That's fine. I respect that. And I pray to you like that. And I follow your message in the same light. But you're my best friend. And so I'm going to act like one. And so every Saturday I would get up, get ready, and have a date with Swami, have a moonlight dinner or a candlelight dinner with Swami. And I would do that. And how many of us are doing that obsessively? That is the kind of love you have to have for Bhagavan. The day you have that kind of love, all indications will come flooding to you. There's no doubt in my mind.
Thank you, sister, for that beautiful answer. Moving on to the next question. How do we manage if we have to work or interact with energy diminishing people?
Dangerous question. So we have very different circumstances in our life where we meet people who will drain our energy. We meet people who will boost our energy. And I'm going to very safely assume this is one satsang that we are in, where we are trying to boost our energy. I'm not sure if it's working in that direction, but I hope that's the goal of the satsang. But there are two ways to deal with it. The one thing not to do is try to correct them because they're draining your energy. And if you are in the process of that, then there's a major red flag there. So that one thing needs to be stopped. Not trying to correct them. You will automatically preserve the energy that you have and not feel drained. That is number one. Number two, we have to do so much spiritual sadhana to give us that mental strength. Swami talks about 3 P's: patience, purity, perseverance. And if we follow that with all our heart, even if we are in their presence, it will give us an understanding of how to deal with that person or how to deal with that situation. And it will give us the protection of objectively accepting what we want and objectively rejecting what we don't want. And this is a very simple example. I have very recently shared this also with a bunch of young adults. Is the problem is we are very emotionally entangled in Swami's message. We are not intellectually entangled in Swami's message. Individual sadhana has a lot of emotion to it. That is the bhakti marga. But when it comes to a collective supreme consciousness of following Swami's message, it has to be intellectually invested, not emotionally invested. And there is a very subtle difference to that. For example, and how is the subtlety is different is only through objectivity. You have to be supremely objective in whatever happens in your life. And this requires a lot of guts because objectivity requires you to admit your misunderstanding and other person's understanding or other person's misunderstanding and accept your wrong understanding. So this is a very great challenge to our character. And for example, so the example that I recently shared was there is a lady who has a stomach pain. She needs to go to the doctor. And she's going to this doctor and says, hey, doctor, I need an appointment. This is their family doctor. And the doctor says, today I'm not available at 4:30. You come tomorrow or such and such day. And she says, no, I'm really in pain. You have to see me. 4:30 only, I'm free. And I live very close by to the hospital. I will see you in no time. And the doctor very sweetly, calmly, in a very straightforward way says, I am very sorry. I have really booked back to back. I cannot see you today. Bye. And the conversation ends. Now, the lady can sit there and complain all day about it and drain her energy about her misunderstanding of the situation. Or she can use the example of objectivity. Very objectively speaking, the doctor had nothing against her. He was just not available. It's a very simple story, right? Now, the lady lacked the vision of objectivity, which means 3 things. One, she wanted her way. She didn't have the perception of the other person, which means She did not have the understanding that no matter how close I live, no matter how desperately I want to be seen by that particular doctor, the doctor has nothing against me. That clarity, that intellectual understanding is lacking. And thirdly, she was emotionally invested in the fact that my way was not concretized. And so, when you come across negative situations, you have to first bring about a very objective intellectual understanding of what is the situation with no attachment to that situation. Absolutely, just factual understanding. And once you have a factual understanding, it will save you from all negative situations or negative people.
Thank you, sister. Our next question is, Sairam sister, I'm very much aware of a bad quality in me, and I have been pleading to Swami to remove that, but I have not seen any change in me. I'm trying my best to get away from it. Because of this, I'm unable to focus in my day to day life. I feel ashamed of myself. Kindly advise me how to handle it.
I have good news and bad. The good news is everybody has something negative in them. Some are able to admit it, some are able to not admit it. That is the good news, if you know what I'm talking about. The bad news is that unlike all of them, you mentioned something very interesting, but you didn't put it the right way. At least you are halfway there. Swami says, understanding that you have a problem is first step. Realizing that you have a problem is second step. That itself is part of the solution. So actually you're on the path of solution. You're not realizing that. Swami has given you the insight that you have a problem and you're able to detect that problem. Now the last step in the process is the right skill. So you have a right knowledge, you have right understanding. The lacking is right skill. There's a very beautiful Zen story that I want to tell you. There was a Zen master who was a very good archer, and he would train a bunch of his disciples in his hermitage, in his ashram. And there was a student who was extremely enthusiastic about the fact that he wants to become a great archer. And so he comes to the Zen master and he says, "Master, I want to be an expert at this." And the master says, "Okay, great." I said, "What time can you come?" So listen, I have a mother and a father who are very elderly. I cannot abandon them. I have my duties towards them. So I'll finish my duties and then I will come here. I said, "Great, no problem. I like your dedication to your family. And so I will come around. It's fine." So he comes. And then he says, "Master, can I come at 7 o'clock in the morning itself? Then I can leave early." And then I says, "Sure, you can come." So how many years by the time I will become a good in archery? And the Zen master says, "Oh, then you'll be very good in 5 or 6 years." Great. "Master, what if I come from 7 to 9 in the night instead of 7 to 5 in the evening?" "Oh, then you will take about 16, 15 years. And he was perplexed. He was like, "What is this?" This is, "Master, what if I put somebody under the care of my, parents in somebody's care and come here and stay full time, and day and night I am working at this? How soon will I become an expert?" Then the master said, "It'll take you 30 years. And he got really frustrated. He said, "What is this? For a few years, you're saying that you'll become an expert. For more hours, you're saying you'll not become an expert. And for more years, you're saying it'll take you lifelong." Then he said, "Your zeal is good, but your intention is wrong." So as I understand the situation, the moral of the story is that we have to have an awareness that we have an issue. We have to have the humility to admit it to Bhagavan. At some level, there is a lack of 100% transparency. And the third thing, the issue here is that you are rushing the process a lot. You're rushing a process. It's like a baby, right? You have a baby. Let's say the baby is growing up and the baby walks crisscross. It doesn't walk north-south. Let's say it walks east-west and you have not corrected the posture. Over time, when it grows into a full adult, can you correct the habit overnight? No, it's going to take years and years of conscious reprimanding and telling to walk properly. And so the same thing is the problem. You have to practice it, and one fine day it will happen. It'll definitely be fixed. If you are sincerely praying from your bottom of your heart, it's bound to happen. You have left the reins of this problem in Swami's hands, but you have to be 100% cooperative. It's like a chariot. You climb a chariot, you sit in the chariot, Swami is holding the reins, and he's the Sarathi, and his charioteer is taking you away from the problem. But if you don't jump and sit in the chariot at the right time, he's not going to help, even though he's going in the right direction. You are not in the chariot. How will you reach your destination? So both has to happen. You have to be 100% open to the idea of change. And Swami is already 100% present to fix the change. It'll happen. The last thing that you don't have to do is always look upon yourself. We always say the prayer, Papoham, Papatma, after every prayer. Swami would say, stop, don't say that prayer. You're not a sinner. You have not done any sin to ask for apology. Instead, you should tell that I am gifted with the body. Instead, you should be grateful. You should be thankful. Congratulate yourself. So never look down upon yourself. Self-pity is a very bad red flag in spirituality to correct yourself. Self-pity won't help you at all. So these 4 things I think you have to keep in mind.
Thank you, sister. The next question is, what has Swami told about marriage and on choosing a life partner?
What has Swami told about choosing a life partner? This is a loaded question. Just to put it very plainly and very simply, Swami has given a lot of instructions to devotees, to people who have come to have Bhagavan's darshan with a purpose of getting their children married, for example. As I said, Swami is very simple, sweet, and straightforward. There have been so many occasions where many of us students or devotees wanted to stay back and dedicate our life to Bhagavan. We had that enthusiasm, but Swami did not allow that to happen because somewhere deep down their heart, they had a thought of enjoying the world by getting married. He was not against it at all. He said, if you want to go through the 4 stages of life, go through dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the 4 purusharthas of our life. He said it's okay to go through the life of a grihastha or a householder. But if you choose to do that, make sure you're 100% in and not 50% in. Because being a householder is like a complete package of a spiritual sadhana camp. You cannot say that I don't want to face difficulties or hurdles and yet have a very beautiful householder's life. Most of your householders, you know how many different kinds of problems can come up without your knowledge and with your knowledge. And you should have the kind of peacefulness or integrity to face these problems. So if you have the intention, go for it. If you don't have the intention, then dedicate your life to Bhagavan or dedicate your life to anything that you passionately care about. It can be service, it can be devotion, it can be knowledge, it can be anything. Whatever you want to passionately pursue, you can do that. He would give the example of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Sharda Devi. There were 2 people who were married and yet lived a very saintly life. Even though they were married, they were not physically involved with each other. They realized very early on when they got into the wedding, because of their parents or call it whatever customary notion, they ran an organization. They were perfectly spiritually inclined. And so if you have a life partner who is very spiritually inclined, go for it. But I'm not suggesting what you should do. All that I'm saying is Swami's suggestions is that you can be in a grihastha ashrama, you can be in a householder's life and yet accomplish something like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Sharda Devi. He was never against marriage at all. In fact, he said, no matter which stage of your life you are, don't forget God. As I said, Swami's message is very simple and sweet. Don't forget God. You can be anything, but don't forget God.
Thank you very much, sister. We have actually, we are done with the questions. Thank you very much for sharing so openly. And as always, it's such a treat to listen to you. We have now come to the conclusion of this wonderful satsang. On behalf of the National Council and all participants, our heartfelt gratitude to Swami for sending us his instrument, Sister Dr. Pallavi Vedantam. We thank you so much for having taken the time off to conduct this satsang for us. Thank you very much, sister. We will now conclude this with the closing prayers. Sai Ram.
Silent.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samasta loga suhino bhavantu. Samasta loga suhino bhavantu. Samasta loga suhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam.